Yasujirō Ozu was considered one of Japan's most influential and recognizable filmmakers. He was often referred to as the most Japanese of all Japanese directors. His unique and distinct contribution to the art of film is apparent in his minimalist approach to storytelling, his unique framing, and themes of domestic family life. Ozu began his career during the silent film era. He worked at the Shokiko Studio, a Japanese film and production company, where he participated in producing comedic films. In 1927, he made his first film called Sword and Penitence. Unfortunately, that film has been lost forever. Ozu transitioned away from slapstick comedic themes and moved toward more dramatic domestic stories, although he often injected subtle humor in his movies. His 1959 comedy, Good Morning, was apparently highly popular. He was known as a traditionalist, and according to screenwriter and director Paul Schrader, was opposed to change. He was one of the last directors to utilize sound and color. The first film he produced with sound was The Only Son in 1936. Equinox Flower, which was released in 1958, was his first film made in color. His career spanned over 35 years, and he made 65 films. Yasujirō Ozu crafted a highly distinctive and unconventional visual style of filmmaking. He played an important role in shaping Japanese cinema, particularly during the period when Japan was experiencing major social change after World War II. Ozu's style evolved toward a film genre called shomigeki, which was an examination of the proletarian and the lower middle-class life of the Japanese family. Film historian Donald Ritchie wrote of Ozu, "The whole world exists in one family. The ends of the earth are no more distant than outside the house." Unlike his contemporaries such as Akira Kurosawa, whose focus was on the epic story and of action, Ozu's films embraced a portrayal of the traditional virtues of everyday Japanese family life. His influence is vast. He has inspired filmmakers such as Wim Wenders, Paul Schrader, and Wes Anderson, to name a few. Ozu created what is referred to as the tatami shot, a positioning of the camera at a low angle. A tatami is a small mat used as a seat or a mattress in traditional Japanese interiors. The camera was placed at the eye level of the seated or prone figure. This camera position creates a kind of intimacy, the grounding of a scene, especially in the domestic scenarios of his movies. It evokes a feeling of being invited into the space, as if we too are seated within it. This camera angle has been described as detached, but I disagree. I perceive this filming technique as a natural way of seeing. It allows the audience to view the fullness of a seated, prone, or standing figure, up close or in the near distance. And it often gives us a wide perspective of the beautiful, well-designed interiors that the characters or inanimate objects occupy. Ozu mastered the use of static or pillow shots. This was a term that was not used by Ozu, but was coined by film theorist Noel Birch. He had an affinity for filming inanimate objects, a vase, a tea kettle, sparse rooms and hallways, train stations, and the cityscape. They evoke a sense of emotional stillness and sometimes of tension. The strategic placement of these shots in a scene feels like a still life painting, a portrait of familiar things, quietly occupying time and space. These moments were often used as a transitional tool to show the passage of time, or when a character expresses emotion. Ozu often avoided the use of a moving camera. He rarely used a dolly, and is reported to have said, "I don't need a dolly." Yet when he did use one, the sequences often resembled the act of reading a scroll, tracking from left to right. His camera was typically fixed in one position, and his shots were carefully and deliberately framed to reflect the beauty and stability of symmetrical, linear design, creating a feeling of flatness. Many of his scenes are comprised of vertical and horizontal lines in both the architecture and the costumes. When we encounter an oblique line, it feels slightly disconcerting, and at the same time, a perfectly timed release from the flatness. Ozu avoided the conventional Hollywood continuity editing that adhered to the 180-degree rule. He felt that the audience was intelligent enough to determine who was speaking to whom. His characters frequently speak directly into the camera when addressing one another, and as with his low camera angle technique, this approach brings the audience into the scene. It is intimate and gives us the sense of being there. It is as if the characters are speaking directly to us. Ozu used direct cuts rather than the standard fade or dissolve. I believe this editing technique creates a particular kind of rhythm and pacing that feels natural and organic. They feel clean, simple, and concrete. Ozu was more concerned with the emotional reaction of his characters, rather than with physical action or spectacle. He told Donald Ritchie, "Naturally, a film must have some kind of structure, or else it is not a film. But I feel that a picture isn't good if it has too much drama or action." His understated kind of storytelling is emotionally sensitive, a kind of visual poetry that prompts us to be more aware of the mundane and the regular, the everyday beauty of our surroundings and the people within them. The ordinary becomes relevant and important to our existence. Ozu's refined and restrained filmmaking style amplifies the emotional weight of story alone. His films incite thought-provoking questions about what is true and what is important about our lives and our relationships. Despite his disdain for change, Yasujirō Ozu was no less than a change maker. He broke the conventional rules established by Hollywood in the West and established himself as a master of storytelling by emphasizing realism and restraint over pageantry. Yasujirō Ozu's films have influenced film scholars, filmmakers, and moviegoers, and will continue to do so for generations to come.